All right, all right.
Are we
We
on?
are
Are we on?
live. What's
There
going
we
on,
go.
fellas? Hey, Juan. Hey, Jill.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
Welcome to
Welcome.
Kumu, an hour
Thanks
show.
for having us.
Yeah. Well, welcome to everything. For everyone who's watching, wherever you are, please, if possible, show us some love.
Welcome on
Um,
LinkedIn Live, you mean?
yes, yes, yes. The two people on LinkedIn. So we have a really exciting episode coming up right now with Rebel, as you can see. But before we get started, for everyone supporting, no matter where you're watching, please share the live, share the love, wherever you are. We've got some exciting questions queued up for our special guest here. Actually, on that note, Erwan, how can people follow Rebel? Where can people follow Rebel and learn more about that?
We're on LinkedIn too.
LinkedIn Live.
If that's what
Live
we're
ba?
starting with, we're on
Are we
LinkedIn.
like the pioneers of this,
yeah.
or am I just behind?
I don't know. I feel like I hear LinkedIn more and more nowadays, so people are finally taking it seriously. But no, we're wherever you get your online social media contents. We're on Instagram, on Rebel PH. We're also on Google Play Store and on the Apple App Store, or wherever people get their apps. And you can download the Rebel app there.
You can just download it. You sign up. Well, what do you need to sign up?
Yeah, it's a fairly painless, simple process. We ask you a couple of questions, and you sign up, and there's a bunch of free content to start with to get you going, so you can really get a taste about what we're about. But we're also now building quite a big community over at Facebook as well, where people can kind of communicate off app and really help each other out. So it's becoming a nice little online and offline community in a time where you can't really connect physically.
Ooh, I love that. I
Yeah,
love that.
Pawi, have you seen our sports reporter B? She actually did a feature on Rebel.
Yeah.
Like she
Yeah,
shows up some of
actually,
the free stuff you can
you
get.
learn
Yeah.
more. You can learn more about Rebel on Rappler. Nice one, Tristan. Yeah, that's good. Gilles, by the way, why don't you tell our audience where you're calling from?
Yeah, no, so the long story short is I'm in Singapore right now in hotel quarantine, actually. It's day 3 out of 14, but glad to be here, yeah.
Woo! All right. You can follow Gilles to see how
The most
whether he's
fun
revived.
moment of the day, I have to say.
Are you live
It's-
streaming your quarantine?
You're 20% done, Jude.
There you go. There you go. Well, anyway, guys. I mean, I think I'd like to get right into this interview actually because we have a bunch of questions lined up for you about Rebel, but most importantly, we're inviting everyone wherever you're tuning in from to please send over those questions, especially if you're watching on Kumu. If you like what you hear, send over some diamonds as well. We'd really appreciate that, or at least some hearts. I feel those hearts. But anyway, let's get this thing started. Hello, everybody. This is Hustle Inside the Industry, where we talk to professionals and find out how they got here, why they're doing what they do, and what it takes to do it. So again, we are live right now on all Rappler channels, including Kumu. So if you have a Kumu account, please try and use that. And you can send over some questions throughout the episode, and Tristan and I will ask them to our guests.
Please send them via Kumu because that's where we're mainly getting our questions today.
And you can follow us on Rappler.com, by the way. That's our handle there, Rappler, DOTCOM, over there. And if you like this interview and you want to play it back in podcast form, follow Hustle Inside the Industry on Spotify or any podcast platform. This episode comes out Monday, August 30. National Heroes Day. Woo! Holiday.
Oh,
Anyway.
it's a long weekend nga pala, no?
Oh, it is.
Yay!
I did not know that.
Yes.
Yeah. That's our little PSA,
Yeah.
by the way. That's our PSA reminding people.
It's a long weekend
anyway.
if you're forgetting holidays
Yeah.
these days. Yeah.
So anyway, as always, this is Pawi.
And I'm Tristan. We are part of Rappers Hustle team. So we are basically Rappers Hustlers. So
There you go.
Bowie, we're gonna talk about quarantine fitness goals, ba?
Yeah. So Tristan, how have you been doing? It's been what? Over a year in lockdown. Has your fitness been deteriorating or improving? Are you like Dragon Ball hyperbolic time changer here?
it's basically in stasis.
Okay,
Kasi, I mean,
okay.
you know this, like, we have our show, Train Like. Before the pandemic, we were like doing fitness stuff with professional athletes, and they often guest me because they know I'm one of the guys who's like the least athletic right now in Rappler. And then I
Okay.
think that didn't change over the pandemic since I'm not really I haven't really worked out, but I try to eat healthy, so I didn't really like gain um weight, or I didn't even like, I think it's in stasis. I didn't gain, I didn't bulk
Okay.
up, but
Well, I think
I try to make some adjustments here and there.
there you go. There you go. Well, I think this episode might just be the one for you. So play this back. Give your own episode a like. Anyway, so by now I'm sure most folks have
No,
settled
I
into
have the
their
app.
own
Anyway,
home
yeah.
workout routines. But there's nothing quite like having a trainer or at least a nutrition coach or that more social experience, right, of going to the gym. And one particular app hopes to fill in the gap, and that's Rebel. It is a locally grown health and fitness app which you can download right now, as Erwan mentioned. And here to talk about both sides of the business, the health and also the tech, we have two of the co-founders, Erwan Husaf and Gilles Haj. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show.
Hi,
Hey, everyone.
Robert.
Hey,
Thanks for
Joe.
having us.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome
Thanks
to the
for having
show. So, speaking of celebrations and holidays, I heard your first year anniversary is coming up.
Yeah,
You're turning one.
Woo!
it feels like this year has both passed by really slowly and really quickly all at once. It's a very strange feeling. I'm pretty sure everyone on this call kind of feels the same way.
Amen. Amen.
So, before we move forward, can you like give the audience who are not that aware out there like a short elevator pitch of what Rebel is? Like, can you tell us like how it works, how do you use it?
In a
Like, pitch
phrase,
us.
Rebel is the biggest and largest online fitness community in the Philippines. So if you're looking for a place to get nutritional content, health and wellness content, anything that helps develop your mind, and obviously fitness and physical fitness content, we have everything on our app, but we're also developing communities off app to make sure that we have a deeper connection with our community. So we have an app where you can find a bunch of video first content. We have a lot of videos for workouts, for recipes, for nutritional talks by R&Ds, for meditations from various coaches around the Philippines. And yeah, we just try to provide all the tools that people would need to be healthy at home, basically.
Awesome. And as you mentioned, so it turns out there's like a social aspect to it too. You mentioned the communities.
Yeah, massive. So we've developed, we've done a lot of, we call them Rebel Live. Basically, we have, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 20 to 28 lives a week.
Wow.
So it's one of the biggest programs out there. We're not even a fitness studio. We're really just an app, and we bring together coaches all around the Philippines, all the best coaches around the Philippines, and allow Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but all over the world, to kind of communicate with them, join live classes with them, and then also communicate with the other people who are joining the live classes. Last week, Nico and I we did a yoga session, which I regret until today. Like, I'm so sore. But at one point, we had 230 people and everyone doing yoga at the same time, which is pretty cool.
Whoa, that's crazy. Wow. That's like Tristan, that's like 4 Zoom windows.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was like
that's
8
kind of
Zoom
like my
windows.
unit of measurement. That's
Yeah,
nuts.
it's quite an amazing
Everyone's
experience.
stretching.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm sure we're going to dig a lot more into the specifics of the app. But before we do so, let's take it all the way back, as we always do on this show, into the origin story of Rebel and its founders here, 2 of its founders. We can talk more about the others as well. So for Erwan and Gilles, whomever wants to go first, what are each of your individual backgrounds, expertises in this particular niche? And how did that eventually culminate into coming together and making this app?
Yeah, let's do secret origins. Yeah.
Should I go first? Yeah, so I think the long story short is I'm French, born and raised in Paris, and I landed in the Philippines a bit randomly, to be honest, in 2014. to work with Rocket Internet. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with that name, but Rocket is the venture builder. It's the mother company that brought in Lazada, Zalora, Food Panda. And I came in to build a company called Lamudi. Lamudi is your house platform, right? To find an apartment, a condo if you've used it, and anything there. And worked there for 5 years. The story about Rebel, I'll keep it for later. Maybe Erwan, you want?
Okay, yeah. So Erwan, segue.
So my background is started off in food. So restaurants and food operations, a little bit all around the world. And then I settled in the Philippines to set up a couple of restaurants here. But while I was doing that in parallel, I started messing around with social media, digital media, and eventually built a production company that does videos for digital media with our own publishing capabilities as well. And yeah, I think in terms of origin stories, it's actually really interesting. I don't know, maybe Gilles and I probably knew each other because I'm half French, he's full French, so I think that probably is the connection. I can't remember, but I'm
French people in Manila kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a very small community, so I'm pretty sure a French person introduced us. And we actually met a few times, I mean, just socially. And then one day, I think he called me or he texted me and he said, hey, let's meet up for lunch. I'm pretty sure it was Wildflower. I could be wrong.
Wildflower,
in BGC, the original one. So this was a couple of years back, maybe like 6-7 years back.
Yeah, this is like 2014. Like I just landed in the Philippines. Yeah.
So we sat down and then we just had a conversation about like whatever, everything and nothing really. And then Gilles started talking to me about an idea he had that could revolutionize the fitness industry in the Philippines. And we talked about it. I think in 2014, I was very busy with setting up multiple restaurants, and I didn't really have the bandwidth for it. Gilles was also very busy with Lamudi, but it was always in the back of my mind of Gilles, gym and fitness idea. And then fast forward to 3 years ago, right, 2019.
Yeah.
I called him this time and I said, hey, I think the time is now to actually put this plan into motion of what we talked about years ago, like 5 years ago. So again, we met up, we started discussing the idea, and we said, all right, let's just try to do it. So Gilles actually moved into our office in Hector 1. So at one point, Gilles and I were not oceans apart. We were just a wall apart. And Gilles started really working and doing all the research and all the market research to get this fitness idea off the ground. And so we wanted to build basically the largest chain of boutique fitness gyms in the Philippines that were all interconnected and really relied heavily on technology in terms of the seamlessness of membership, but also the content that you could get, basically having a coach in your pocket while using our gym facilities. So that was kind of like the big idea. And so he worked really hard in kind of building the research that was needed, kind of bringing all the resources together. And by the end of 2019, we pulled the trigger. We had a space. It was a beautiful space in the CBD of Makati. It was a massive 800 square meter space.
Wow.
We had just broken ground, I think, in February 2020.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
Right? Yeah. And then March happened. Dum. And so when March happens, like at that point, I think March for everyone was kind of like blackout. No one really remembers how they react to it. But I know it's a couple of months where everyone was just like, let's just wait this out and see what happens. And I think everyone thought, hey, by May 2020, we're good. We're going to get this under control. Joke's on us. And then so by May, I think we had a call with Gio and we were like, okay, it looks like this is going to be pretty long term. And at this point, Gilles was sending me like various links from Bloomberg, McKinsey report, and like sending me all this economic data, and we're like, okay, it looks really bad.
Yeah.
So we think gyms are not going to cut it. So luckily enough, we hadn't built the space yet. We had just broken ground. So we decided to put that project on pause, and we're like, okay, but we were initially talking about including technology here. So why not just move 100% of our focus to tech, because everyone is going to be at home anyways, and everyone's going to be looking for online solutions to their fitness and health issues. And so that's how the idea of Rebel as an online community and an online fitness and health app came to be.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to dig deeper into that, like that pivot, because in the show, like inside the industry, we often talk about how businesses pivoted amidst the pandemic. So if you wanna talk about like how you got to a general consensus about, okay, we're gonna go with tech. It was always a component of Rebel, but like how did you like all get together and say, okay, we're gonna move everything to tech, and how did you almost launch it immediately? Like once you
Yeah.
decided on that,
Super
you
quick
easily
turnaround. Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
basically able to break ground on tech as well.
Yeah. No, to answer your question, I think if we look back at the vision of Rebel was always, I have one keyword for it, accessibility. So when we were looking at even the physical gyms, we were thinking about, that was kind of the trigger for me, and the reason why I called Erwan in 2014. I was looking for a gym to work out during lunchtime, and every time I went to a gym, they
Wow.
told me you need to sign up for 12 months and you need to pay 70, like 3.5 in pesos, 3,500 per month. And I was like, I don't know how long I'm going to stay in the Philippines at this point. And I was like, oh, I have a gym actually in Paris, downstairs my place, for like 1,500 per month. And I was like, why do gyms need to be so expensive in the Philippines? And then actually the first idea for Rebel was to say, can we use technology to lower down the price to entry? And I think the idea with the physical gym was always to make it affordable for people. I won't tell you exactly the price point, but it was something really crazy that we thought of, and thanks to technology. And so there was always this technology component. And I think what's amazing about technology is, if you think about it, technology is an enabler, right? It allows you to save a lot of costs, but also allows people to sign up online, join the gym online, scan a QR code, and all of this was going to be powered by content. And so what happened is, by March 2020, we had already started to build an app. And the app, had already, a bunch of content. It had a few things on it, and it was kind of almost like ready. I think what shifted and what the pandemic really changed was more the order of things. First, we were thinking, okay, let's build these gyms that are going to be powered by an app. So you go to the gym, you use the app is helping you work out there. To the opposite, which is, okay, first it's an online community and first it's an app, and then maybe the gyms would follow later. So I think it was kind of a natural transition. The last thing I want to say about this is, when something like COVID happens, and obviously I don't want to say that COVID is a good thing. It was terrible for a lot of people in a lot of ways, but it always creates also some kind of opportunity to move things around. And I remember there was this quote by an investor called Michael Moritz, and he said, for technology, we jumped from 2020 to 2025 in just a month.
Oh my God.
And I think we saw that opportunity. And I remember I was reading so much, I was sending stuff to Erwan, which was to say, okay, the time is now for technology in the Philippines. And I think we've seen that in so many different industries, in grocery delivery, Metromart, Lazada, Shopee, Gcash, Paymaya, all of these businesses grew incredibly. And I think for us, it was about timing and saying, okay, now is the time to go digital. Yeah.
So just to ask, like it's also a question from Leroy Almeida. So like, was the app always part of the Rebel idea? Like, was this like because you said a while ago that it's gonna be a mix of like the physical gym space and the tech space. So was like the app always part of it, or was it like something that you had to adjust as well based on like your pandemic pivot?
And who built it? Who specifically, and how did you do it so fast?
Maybe you want to talk about the build first, Jude?
Yeah, I mean, so who built it? We built all of that in-house, and we were building that since the beginning. And there's an amazing guy called Tony, who's the CTO, who's just a pure genius, and who we've worked with on this. Quick one on kind of like I think the app was always there. It was just a different app. I think in the beginning, the app was going to have two things. It was going to have the content. It was also going to be an enabler for the gym. So again, like a QR code to enter the gym. You were able to see how many people were in the gym, so you decide if you want to go or if it's too busy or go later, and a lot of stuff which is about how to use the gym, also how to learn how to use equipment, which we know was a big challenge for people. So yeah.
Erwan, I think you wanted to build on that as well.
Yeah, it was about kind of like finding the, when you look at a gym or you look at any business, and you kind of try to figure out what are the fixed costs to make it, that make the pricing so expensive. And so we really started from there, because price point for us was a big thing that we wanted to tackle. And we knew that if we want more Filipinos to get into fitness, then the price point needs to make sense for people. And to ask people to pay 3-5 or 20% of their monthly salary for the gym, it makes absolutely no sense. And so so we were looking at, all right, so if you had an app for a gym, what would make sense? So it's things like, how do you reduce the amount of staff that's basically in the gym? Maybe through the entry code on your app or through the content that you have, you don't need as many people there anymore. And we had a lot of different solutions like that. Content was, for me, because I come from a content background, content was always going to be a very important role, not only because it drives people and it drives marketing, but also because people find value in content. And I love it when you actually have content that you can actually use in a real life scenario. Like, we do a lot of recipes, but for workouts, it's the same thing. So I really wanted people to be in the Rebel gyms with the Rebel app open, following those programs, and you could really kind of fine tune programs for for people and everything. So like Gene mentioned, it wasn't necessarily about a pivot. It was more about, let's press pause on the physical gyms and let's put all our focus on the app first.
Wow. Okay. Well, so thanks, Leroy Almeida on Kumu, for that question, by the way. So we just got this interview started. For everyone just tuning in now, you can send questions on Kumu and some diamonds, hopefully. So anyway, Jill, I like what you mentioned earlier, from that very personal standpoint about like the problem you were trying to solve. It was something that was very immediate to you. It's kind of, I believe there's like an entrepreneurial aphorism, right? Like, be your own customer in that sense. So let's talk more about the customer or the market, if you will. So, lockdown hit, right? And as Erwan mentioned, there were kind of like different, like, it was almost like a personality type, like, which lockdown denier are you? Right? So I think we all settled into this new normal. I hate saying that, but this new normal at different paces, right? And you're talking about a market, by the way, your specific market. These are highly active people. These are highly physical, social people. So how did the Philippines first respond to when you guys came out? Was there a little bit of a struggle there? Tell us how people began to embrace the app when you first launched.
Yeah, no, I mean, the feedback was quite crazy, honestly. When we launched, I think we had like 100,000 downloads in just a week or something. And so there's always, a question when you're building something. You're like, okay, you're passionate about it, you're excited, but you never know how it's going to do, right? We did a lot of research. We asked people, but I think the feedback really exceeded our expectations. I think it came from two things, the way I see it. One is, obviously, people were locked at home, and we worked really hard to get the app out as soon as possible, because we knew it could help people right now that really needed something like this. And I think the second reason is also, I feel like people had always been looking for something like this. So let's be honest, there's a lot of content online. It's not like, we invented fitness videos. You can go on YouTube, you can find a lot of content there, and it's free also. And Rebel is almost entirely free. I mean, the large majority of content is available for free. But I think what people were really missing is localized content, right? And that's from fitness to food to meditation. So just on the fitness side, and I think Erwan will share more about the food side. On the fitness side, it was a lot of American content with people, that have American builds, right? And usually are kind of advanced levels. And always the vision of Rebel was to speak to people, whether they're advanced, but also to beginners, right? And we know that the majority of people, they're working on getting started, or during lockdown, they were restarting their fitness journeys, right? So it was really important for us that we had really the right content to help people get started. And that was a lot of low impact movements. That was a lot of stretching, yoga, a lot of flows that were very gentle, and recovery. on the fitness side, and obviously on the food, there's a lot of things here.
Erwan, you want to add anything? Or
Yeah, I've always been a fan of localizing content. I hate having to be put in a situation where, you know that saying when people say, "Oh, this is good enough for the international market." Like when someone says that, it really pisses me off. It's like, why is that? Why is that the benchmark? We can create such great things in the Philippines, not only for the international market but also for the Filipinos. So I think it was kind of about realizing the potential of what we had locally. We have a lot of amazing coaches who have an international appeal because they all speak perfect English. They're all from various diverse backgrounds. There was a lot of studios already in the Philippines, a lot of training backgrounds. And there's so many resources to put out there. So we really wanted to try to combine them all under one house. And same things for the recipes. People, especially when you talk about health and fitness and when you talk about beginners, it's kind of like we always go back to the scenario where someone walks into the gym alone for the first time. A lot of the time, if they don't know what they're doing, they'll end up going on the treadmill. And what they'll do on the treadmill is they'll walk. And what they'll do on the treadmill while walking is watch what everyone else is doing. But a lot of the time, if those people don't have a program, they won't be coming back because it's too intimidating. There's too many machines. There's too many people who look really intense and are sweaty. So we really wanted to make sure that no one had that barrier to entry, right? And so, like for example, if you ask someone to start eating healthy and then you give them a recipe with chia seeds, flax seeds, rosella,
oh my gosh,
all that, they'll look at it and they'll be like, oh, I'm good. I'm just going to eat my junk food or whatever I was eating before because this is way too complicated. It's too much of a departure, right? So that's why we, from the get-go, we focused on kind of like the mental aspect of it as well. So giving people the tools to understand why they're doing something and then giving them the resource to actually make it happen for them. And localization was the key to all of that. Because it's saying, hey, I'm just like you, and I'm able to kind of figure it out and try to make it happen for myself. So it'll probably be, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be easy for you, but at least it gives you more hope that it's possible too.
Yeah, I totally get it. Because like I myself, like I did go to the gym like before. I took like a year membership, but then same problem. Like you go there, you don't have a trainer, you don't have a program.
Yeah,
you're just looking at others and like yeah, and you're just trying to get the feel of what they're doing. So I think like since we're talking about aphorisms, like one of the things that really popped into my head was like how they say like no one's really lucky, but you're prepared. You're prepared rather than lucky. So like how you capitalize on the tech component in the goal of democratizing and localizing this this fitness habit. That's how you're able to stay up top amidst the challenges of this pandemic. So I want to ask, like, so how are you operating like 1 year into this current scenario? Like how are your operations? Like what does it take to coordinate amidst working remotely apart from each other?
And your team, like what's the size of the company right now, for instance?
And like and how do you like plan to integrate physical gyms again, like in the near future, since you're building heavily on the tech side right now?
Yeah. So to answer that, so Rebel was really built during the pandemic, I think we can say. There was, of course, the gym preparation before, but the team really came in during COVID. And I think a lot of people were asking this question. Were like, oh, I was surprised to see a company hiring like March 2020, April 2020. So we're a remote first company. I think it's something that's it's becoming normal now, but at the time it was quite unique. Remote first, everybody's kind of working from their own setup. And to be honest, it's been amazing for us. I think the recipe to that is really a very driven team where everybody's motivated, everybody's passionate about the mission that we have. And I think we're lucky to have that in the team. We're about 25 people now and growing, and like a big team in the Philippines, but also a few people in different places of the world, which I think, this has allowed to enable. And it's been really smooth so far. I mean, we have great tools. I think everybody learned how to work with Zoom, and we use technology ourselves. So yeah, it hasn't been a challenge, I would say, to operate this way for us. Yeah.
And what about the talent? Like, you have the trainers and coaches. I assume, I mean, not to paint it this way, but I feel like a lot of fitness experts and coaches were looking for, we're really in dire need of new opportunities, especially when the pandemic hit.
Yeah, pivoting themselves, no? Yeah.
Yeah, I think, online especially, it gets very noisy. There's lots of people doing a lot of things, and if you kind of go at it on your own, the risk of getting lost in the noise is actually quite high. So we really wanted to give our coaches a platform where they can showcase their skills and their programs, and all the programs that are on Rebel are literally collaborations with the coaches and their strengths and their style of coaching. We're just there as the enablers to put them on the platform and to connect them to a wider audience. And so obviously when all this happened, the gyms were the last things, and still now I think they're closed. So it also just, it helped give these very talented coaches kind of a platform where they can, foster their own communities as well.
Mm-hmm. So earlier we mentioned, you kind of alluded to like the quote unquote international standard and how there's a hyper localized approach here. I'm wondering, especially, Gilles has a global tech background, right? And you're the man with the big idea. So kind of when you came up with the original concept, but also when you took this new approach in 2020, I'm just curious, in the global industry, right? Were there any emerging trends that were similar? Did you get any lessons from other countries that were in similar situations or with similar with fitness industries that were in a similar place as the Philippines? Like, what was the global landscape like?
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting question. I think fitness and fitness tech is one of the hottest sectors right now in tech, period. Like every day you read about $100 million being invested in the industry. So it's definitely hot.
Peloton.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Peloton is now like a $40 billion business. And so we're looking, there's a lot of stuff that was happening. I think at the end of the day, when we were seeing what was happening, it was mainly driven by the US, and it was driven by two things, I think. One is AI and machine learning. So it's pretty much the idea that algorithms are going to replace kind of, the need for a trainer. It's like technology is going to create your program and you'll follow that. And the other trend that we saw was fitness tech-enabled devices like the Peloton, and you have the tonal and the mirror. These are all devices. And I think in both trends, exactly. I'm not saying they're bad or anything. I think they're good and they serve a purpose, but we're always seeing them as kind of like only solving one part of the problem. Peloton and tonal and mirror are great, but it's $1,500 to buy one and to use at home. So it's not something the majority of the population can afford.
Right.
The first thing, AI, machine learning, great if you're advanced already and you really want to refine your results and stuff. But what about the human touch, right? The number one reason you go to the gym is to be with other people that can support you and help you out. So for us, these two things were always we were driven by Rebel, I think the other way, which is to say, how can we build the human component and the community into Rebel? And the second thing is, how can we make it accessible and affordable? So so inspired, but kind of going the other way of the
other direction,
But Erwan, do you want to maybe, if you have any input on the kind of like the nutrition side of things, because that's already a different beast entirely.
Yeah, well, both on nutrition and fitness, we're also seeing just an explosion of nutrition and fitness content on YouTube. And it's free content, it's fine. The always the question mark with YouTube is, who is the person kind of training you? Are they certified? Do they have the right kind of experience to train people? So that's why one of the things for us was important is to work with actual fitness professionals when it came to the fitness workouts. And then for nutrition, like I said a while ago, everyone was home at one point. Yeah, it was cute. Everyone was kind of like ordering those make at home kits and spending money in deliveries. But then the realities of the pandemic set in terms of, okay, maybe we don't have that much to spend on deliveries all the time. So we need to start kind of cooking at home. And me, from years back when I first created the Fat Kid Inside, it was really about trying to show people that with the local produce that we have, without having to look at imported goods and imported foods, you can actually cook really nutritious meals. You just need to understand that they probably won't be the most tastiest or the most entertaining meals, but they'll do the job. And so, and Gilles, for example, Gilles doesn't cook. So when I was
but you were just outed on all of the media platforms.
When I was developing the recipes,
that's the headline actually.
Yeah.
Gilles doesn't cook.
When I started putting together the recipes for Rebel, I remember Gilles like messaging me saying, "Hey, these are still too complicated." I'm like, "What do you mean? There's like 8 ingredients." He's like, "No, like cut it down." And so we started working on recipes with like 4 ingredients, 3 ingredients, really just to showcase that you can do a lot with not so much.
Yeah.
So I see that Jill's really practicing like how the first consumer must be yourself.
Yeah. Jill, you've lost so much weight since the last time. I'm just kidding. But anyway.
So I actually want to harp like on what you said. Like I think that's a really valuable insight. Like amidst the challenges right now of the pandemic, like in the West, like with Peloton, it's like instead of democratizing fitness, it even became a bigger privilege.
Yeah.
Like the gap between accessibility and like actually making it friendly for people that widen, because now you have to like invest in the equipment. You have to create home gyms. You have to buy that big mirror for basically the Star Wars version of a trainer. So it's like in the Philippines, you had to embrace more the accessibility aspect of it. So and I think that's why right now you mentioned like your community is growing. Like remind again how many people are now part of the Rebel community.
How many now? You told us before, but what's it looking like now?
It's close to 300,000 people now that have downloaded, created their accounts. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I want to just ask, like, so what's the potential for growth here? Like, how do you imagine like the Rebel brand growing even bigger?
Yeah, I mean, like, in short, I think there's so much we can do. 300,000 is good, but there's more than 100 million people in the Philippines, right? And I think the idea is always enabling as many people as possible to get started and really democratizing that space. And so I think there's still millions of people we can reach. I think there's so much different ways we can do it. There's so much content. There's one thing I want to touch upon quickly here, because I think it's quite exciting, something that we're launching. So we're working together with coaches on a new concept. It's going to be, actually, we haven't talked about it yet, but it's an exclusive Rappler tonight.
Yeah.
It's something that's called a Rebel Coach, and the idea is really having a real coach accessible, and that's leveraging technology and leveraging the content that we have and everything we worked on so far. Amazing. And I think the idea for this is really connecting you to a real coach that can work with you, keep you accountable, because sometimes it's really the biggest challenge. And I think in fitness, if you think about it, always so many of us, we get started, we stop. We get started, we stop.
Yes.
We're trying to work hard. Yeah, right. We're guilty of that. So we're working hard to solve that problem now. So keep posted for Rebel Coach. We're going to announce a bunch of things on our birthday, which is September 14. The deadline is on. So.
Happy birthday. Wait, hold on. Any other special things happening on your birthday? You can do like a little...
I was trying to get more exclusives.
Let's
write it up.
We're trying to do a bunch of things. We're trying to build content with the community that we've grown, to showcase the real case scenarios of, at the end of the day, you're only as good as the consumers or your users. We've seen some amazing transformations, even though we're not all about transformations, not physical transformations, but both mental transformations, personal transformations, and we have a lot of those stories that we want to talk about. We obviously want to launch Rebel Coach, which I think is going to be really special, both for users, but also for coaches. It just makes the whole process so much more seamless and easier. And we'll attempt to have probably one of our biggest live workouts ever.
Ooh.
And we'll see, how else Nico and I can make fools out of ourselves. But yeah, so we'll try to get a big live together to try to celebrate, 1 year Rebel.
Yeah. I do want to just dig in just a bit more because I think it's fun to daydream a bit and kind of hear you guys think out loud. But going back to Tristan's question, right, about growth, we have a lot of tech companies come to the podcast, as you can imagine. We always talk about scalability, right? You are a tech company, and one of the benefits is how agile that can be. So you did talk about like a lot of the kind of the organic ways you can grow and like the community can
Rebel
grow.
NFT.
Yeah, well,
I'm kidding.
by the way, someone asked that. Sorry, okay, I didn't realize that I was indirectly addressing a question here. Siegfried Suhide from YouTube. Will you sell a Rebel cryptocurrency? You don't need to answer that, but I'm just asking in general. Just humor us right now, both of you, by the way. Like, what are the different like avenues like you can take this for it to really like blow up even bigger?
Yeah, you want to take this one first, and I'll add it.
Growth, especially in a tech company, growth is kind of like one of the things you constantly talk about. I think in terms of where we are today, as Gilles mentioned, we have, with the services and the products that we have today, we can already reach so many more people. And it's really, like we said it from the outset, we wanted to make fitness accessible to everyone. And so we really want to grow that number. So we're currently at 300,000, great, but I think we could, reach millions and millions of users, and that will enable us to come up with other products and other services. So right now we're really focusing on fostering the community that we have and growing it. And then as we go, we keep kind of trying to innovate spaces that you see all over that aren't necessarily consolidated online. That's why we launched Rebel Live. That's why we're launching Rebel Coach. So we're always identifying new services and products that we can put under the Rebel family, and basically just try to make fitness easier for more people.
Yeah. The way we think about it is, right, the vision, helping people live healthier lives. What can we do to enable this? Whether that's fitness, that's food, that's mental health, via meditation, via having a coach directly, then actual products, right? Can we consolidate a few things, make it easier, more accessible to do? And I think there's tons of work to be done in the Philippines. Obviously, tech companies always talk about expansion and going into other markets, and there's a lot of things in our mind. And I think Rebel eventually is a project we really want to take regional and global, but I think, one step at a time. I think 300,000 people is nothing, right? Like we can get tens of millions of people that are using this.
I mean, if we're talking about kind of like what the dream is, we've gone over this multiple times, and it's really to be that one-stop shop for fitness online, and whatever that entails. Just like how you have super apps in China that do absolutely everything. Why not have a super app for fitness that can do everything, from your personal coaching, but potentially also your healthy groceries, or your vitamins, or your gym access. So there's so many ways to kind of grow it. But I think we focus first on our core product, and once we've kind of proven ourselves, we can then kind of venture out in all these different products.
Right, and see where the market takes you. Right, see what people are asking for. Nice, Tristan.
Yeah. So I just want to remind like all our viewers right now that we're accepting questions. So if you have any questions for Erwan and Jill, feel free to comment on our Kumu app, on the Kumu stream, not app, sorry. So I think I didn't mention that. I think like right now with your vision, like making it a super app that's basically your one-stop shop. I think that's something that's admirable. Because I think what I also noticed it's that like when you said like when you go to the gym, it's like a huge part is like what you do in the gym. It's separate from what you do at home. It's like right now,
Mm.
many people have like have their own apps, they have their own practices. But like right now, from the food that you eat, from the vitamins you take, you get to link it basically. So it's like yung nga, the connected part of it. So I think that's what basically cements
It's like the holistic
Rebel.
approach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there we go. That's a word. Holistic approach. So like are there any other ways that you see this integrating into like the future of Philippine fitness? Like
Yeah.
other forms of localization, yeah.
Assuming we get out
Yeah.
of this lockdown, right? And people can go to, they have the option to be social again. Like, how do you guys
I
fit
mean,
into that picture?
we'd love to have. I mean, the gyms for us was always a dream. I think it
Yeah.
still is a dream. It's very hard to kind of say anything now, obviously, because we have no idea where we're going to be next year. You know, we might have variants to fill out the alphabet, and then we might have to go to a different language alphabet. But yeah, so I think physical gyms are still something we really want to do, and I think if we come into and it kind of worked out in a sense, because if we come in to start developing gyms with a huge online community, it's going to be so congruent and so seamless to get those online users, if they're in the Philippines, to then go and use the Rebel gyms when they're set up. And I think the experience will be really cool because people now have all this knowledge, you know, in their pocket, and they can actually put it to good use in the gyms, meet the coaches, meet the community, and then you can really foster something special, I think.
Then Pawi,
Jill,
I think
yeah.
Sorry, go Jill. Sorry for butting
No,
in.
I mean, not much to add. I think in general, when we think about the company, we never saw ourselves as a home workout app or a home cooking app. We always saw ourselves as something holistic that you can use at home in the gym. And like what we want to do is really break down the barriers, right? So if we're talking about physical gyms, how can we make those more accessible to people, more fun, more exciting, better design? So there are so many ideas that we poured into the initial concepts that we can't wait to bring to people when, you know, life goes back to kind of a bit more normal. That being said, I really believe now we're also at a shift where digital is always going to be there. So I think the question is not offline versus online, is how can offline be powered by online, and can you think about a concept that is in between?
Yeah, the merger.
Hybrid? Yeah, and I think that's the gym of the future. Yeah.
And yeah, and I think you can't deny, like what I was saying, Pawi, like you can't deny that like the connections we build right now online, we've kind of countered our programming. Like in the past, you think the online connections, they're not as quote unquote real as like physical connections. But right now, I'm pretty sure like after everything, or like after we've learned to adapt,
Yeah.
I think the community will be dying to like meet each other.
Yeah,
actually
for
spend time
sure.
with the-
Everyone's like
with the
already planning
coaches,
that kind of
etc.
stuff.
Yeah.
I know I am with some of the workshops and programs, you know, at the
Holding
first-
healthy
yeah.
humans.
Yeah.
Healthy.
Yeah, no, it's been happening on Rebel. We
Yeah.
have people that really met via the app and started working out
Ooh.
together. And the first step was doing online workouts together, and then meeting in person to do real workouts together when they could. And I
Wow.
think that's amazing. Like we're
All right,
not
hold on.
expecting this, but
So
yeah.
Jill, any rebel couples yet? Rebel marriages? You want-
I don't
Rebel
know.
dating.
I don't see any.
Yeah,
By the way, that's scalability dating.
We're launching Rebel
Rebel.
X, which is basically a dating match app that
Yeah.
only puts you together with other people that work out. Yeah.
Yeah, swipe. It's like a workout buddy app. There you go.
Yeah.
Swipe. Awesome. I love it. I love the conversation. I love the visual of this kind of. It's funny because your vision remains the same. It's just almost the exact same thing you wanted to do in the first place. But supposing this pandemic ends and we're back and you get to do that. Now you get to do the same thing, but you're even way more equipped now. Your audiences or your customer base is like way more galvanized. So maybe it was a blessing, right, for you guys to have approached this way.
And we could talk about the rebel dating royalties later.
Yeah. So
Somebody gave me this idea before. You're not the first.
oh,
Other people had this idea.
That's
yeah.
why I just
They think the same way, I guess. Yeah.
Jill, this is your market research. Like, listen to what we're asking of you. Anyway, with that said, I wish we could keep going for way longer, but we're reaching the end of our interview here. With that, any last bits of advice from each of you for our Filipino health enthusiasts and tech founders alike? I don't know if you want to split it up that way. Any last bits of advice? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first with the health advice, I guess, and then Gilles can finish up with the tech. One of the reasons why we set this up was really just to give everyone an option to do something, and I think especially now and in the next couple of months, it's so important to stay physically active. I think. You look a couple of years back when you talked fitness and diet, a lot of the times it was for physical transformations or aesthetic purposes. But now people do realize that your physical health not only can protect you from diseases, but also protects your mind and kind of just balances out your hormones and how you react to things. So being healthy in body and then in mind just equips you better to put up with challenges. And everyone knows we're not done with the challenges. I mean, there's so much that's going to be happening over the next couple of months or the next year, and stress is going to be at an all-time high. So do yourself a favor and get started. And an app like Rebel removes all those excuses, all those barriers to entries, anything that would make you say, I can't do this, or I'm not equipped, or I don't have the information. We have programs for people who are beginners. We have programs for people who lift heavy weights in the gym. We have people with no equipment. We have people with equipment. So we literally tapped every single coach we could think of in the Philippines to make sure that everyone's purpose is solved in both food, meditation, and fitness.
Wow. Jill?
Yeah, maybe more on the tech side or startup side, kind of. I know there's two things I always remember. Is one, when you launch something, it's a jump in the unknown, right? And you're always scared, and you always feel like, or at least, that was my case, that you need more information, more research, talk to more people, wait to get more money and such. But I think once you get started, like, it's amazing what you can achieve, because every step gets you closer, right? And even if it seems like it's going to be so difficult, 1 year later, it's like, wow, you have so many users, you've done so many things. And I think it's like this every step of the way. I think the second thing is always in technology, especially, you launch something and it has a certain shape. And usually, it's not going to be its final shape already, right? Like, you're going to evolve, you're going to pivot a bit, change it. And I remember this conversation. I think it's great that we're talking on Kumu also here, because I was once in a chat with Roland, who founded the company.
Yay! Shout out to Roland.
Shout out.
Shout out to Roland, because like Kumu initially was not built as a live streaming app in the first place, right? But they launched it and they saw, oh wow, it's incredible how many people are staying on the live streamings and how sticky it is, and it seems to be what people want. And then they made it their main product. So I think that's what I always try to keep an eye on, and always my number one advice for any entrepreneurs is listen to what your users are telling you, like what they want. Keep it open, challenge yourself, and question yourself, am I doing the right thing, or is there maybe something that people want even more? So yeah, that's it for the tech side.
Fantastic. Wow.
That was like NextPay. We have to shout out NextPay for like also evolving.
Yeah.
I mean, listening to you. Yeah.
This is as you can imagine, this is really one of the constant themes of the show and the podcast. So by the way, if you like what you hear, please subscribe. If you like especially what Erwan and Jill shared, the little gems they dropped. And speaking of Kumu, you can drop us some diamonds as well.
I see what you did.
We're moving on to our final section right here. It's what Tristan and I really do this podcast for. It's really just for this segment, really. We're gonna wrap things up. Yeah, we're pivoting. We're wrapping things up as we always do with our play of the week. So we talked a lot about work and working out. Now let's talk about play. Any fun activities or recommendations for our listeners to unwind from the busyness of business? Who wants to go first?
I've recently been trying to learn the ukulele, just because I feel like it's a very hipster thing to do.
Wow.
But no, because I never learned. I played the drums, so I never learned like a picking instrument. And apparently the ukulele is really easy. So if you want to feel good about yourself and start playing some music, the ukulele is good.
Nice. Gilles? What
Yeah, I
instrument
mean,
did you pick?
I didn't pick an instrument, I have to say. No, one thing you said about unwinding, I think one of the biggest drivers in my life is when I found out meditation. Like I was a very stressed student with too much work, no time to think clearly, and I discovered meditation. It's helped my life incredibly, and I still do it every single day, no matter what. I find time, like it can be 10 minutes, 20 minutes. If you have 30, even better. I know it sounds a bit like, oh, meditation, something complicated. How do I do it? But honestly, as long as you just listen to your breath, take it easy, unwind a bit from the space around you and just focus on yourself, it can change completely the day that you're having. So we actually have amazing meditations on the Rebel app. Yeah, with Sarah and Nick, and they're great, and highly encourage everybody that feels a bit, anxious sometimes or stressed out to really take 5 minutes of their time and go for it. Yeah,
That's crazy. So you mean to tell me that there might be some users out there from the hundreds of thousands who are just using it for the meditation, like like a mindfulness app,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, and we're developing more and more of those things like breath work, because you realize that the best, like, I really believe in focused distractions or like focused hobbies. The best way to kind of relieve your mind or your stress is to focus fully on something else. For Gilles, it's meditation. For me, it's ukulele.
There you go.
I guess whatever works.
For now. Tristan, what's it for you?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try those these stressors, like those meditation things, because right now I've been like super stressed the past days, haven't been sleeping that much. So like what I discovered, like the stress, I'm watching comedies on Apple TV Plus. So I caught
Well,
Ted
Apple TV Plus,
Lasso.
that's a great recommendation.
Yeah,
Ted
so
Lasso.
I caught Ted Lasso like over the weekend. I binged everything. So it's basically manic pixie dream dad. He's a coach for
Okay,
like
wait, no. You have to go a little more general so that people know.
yeah. Okay. So concept wise, he's a American football coach who gets sent to the UK, and then he ends up teaching football, which is soccer. So
Yeah.
they're like a fish out of water comedy. And then the other thing I'm watching right now, it's Mythic Quest. I don't know if you've heard of Mythic Quest. It's like
Craig Mazin.
it's basically
anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically very much like Silicon Valley, but set at a gaming company. And then the guys who wrote it, it's Rob McElhenney and Charlie Day. So they're the guys behind It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And Rob's also the main cast member. So yeah, it starts like very Silicon Valley, very what's the show? Community Silicon Valley, Always Sunny. But I think what I like about it, it's like it has heart. So in a way, it's also like The Office. So I'm just like it's like all my target interests, all my favorite shows, they merge it together. So that's why I'm recommending
Apple TV
it.
Plus, great shows, great recommendations. My play of the week is something you can watch too, or it's just like a more general thing. I'm also going to take this because I'm going to take this moment to announce that I'm premiering my latest short film in LA next week at the LA Asia Pacific Film Festival. But with that said, there are a lot of opportunities or a lot of avenues where people at home can consume and support Filipino short films. Obviously, at Rappler, we have Act 1, so check that out. We have a long weekend marathon.
Contestant number 4.
Contestant number 4 was our latest release. But Cinemalaya is going on, by the way, so people can still watch on Cinemalaya, and also Cine Halaga. So lots of films to be celebrated here. And wow, what a great combo of plays of the week the four of us had. Anyway, Rebel, Erwan, Gilles, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming onto the show. And how can people keep up with you guys and Rebel?
They can find Rebel with us on Instagram and on Facebook. And then if you go on the Google Play Store or on the Apple Store, just type out Rebel and then you'll get our black and white logo, the big R. And that's our...
They use capital, right? All caps?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, anyway, and obviously follow Rappler.com on whichever platforms. You can also follow your host here at Pawi Fiction. Tristan?
At Tristan Zinampan. No.
There you go. Gilles, are you an active?
Yeah.
You notice we're skipping Erwan because everyone follows them already. Gilles, how about you? Do you want to do a personal plug? Or are you good? LinkedIn?
I'm okay. But find me on LinkedIn. And wait, if you're looking to kind of change the game, we're always looking for people. So please feel free to send me a message on LinkedIn or directly on IG or whatever. If you're passionate about health and fitness and like helping people, yeah, Rebel is always hiring.
Fantastic. And make sure to let Jill know how many diamonds you sent us during this. That might be a factor. I'm just saying. Anyway, okay. Thanks, Rebel, for joining us, and best of luck on your journey. We want to stay. We want to keep. We want to keep everyone updated, right? Remind us again what's coming up for your birthday. What are you guys putting out?
So we'll have one of our biggest live workouts. We're coming up with a bunch of 1-year anniversary content. And we'll be launching some new products very soon. So lots of things to look forward to.
Fantastic. So looking forward to that. Thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks to our Rappler production team, community team, creatives team, all the teams really. Team
Hustle
effort
team.
here. Hustle team, basically the two of us. And thank you out there for watching. If you haven't already, please follow Rappler on all platforms. You can catch us on Kumu by following rappler.com, DOTCOM. And you can follow the Hustle Inside the Industry podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. We bring you a new episode every Monday so you can start your week with a little motivation. Bye, everyone.
Awesome, guys. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks for dropping by.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.